Camille Salzer Hadaway, and here with my co-host with the mostest, Mr. Nick Andrade.
I'll never know what the mostest is.
I mean, that's the mystery of you. What is the mostest? You'll never know. You'll never know. But what you do know is we are continuing to play through Spider-Man 2 and continuing. We're not nearing the end. Usually we do 10 episodes of AutoSave featuring a full game, but there is so much story to unpack in Spider-Man 2 that we said, you know what? We got to go longer. So we are continuing our deep dive into Spider-Man 2. On our last episode,
I'm assured that material is unbreakable. But I believe anything can be broken. You still hold back. Maybe you lack motivation. Now you're in for it. Yes. There you are.
so Peter was feeling the bestest as he ever felt in any other suit because of the black symbiote suit. And that kind of, set Peter off to be kind of a jerk. Even in the last episode, I thought it was going to wear out, but no, the symbiote Peter is pretty much a jerk. But he also got a tip from Mr. Negative on Miles's whereabouts, and we actually saw Mr. Negative's power negate the black symbiote suit, which was pretty interesting to see. But you know what? Peter has no time for Mr. Negative because he was on a mission to save Miles, and that's what he does. He goes over to Craven's mansion, but has a little scuffle with Craven himself. And Craven, throughout their fight, was really asking Peter to unleash the full wrath of the symbiote suit. But Peter was still holding back, and well, debatable. Was Peter holding back or was he about to do it? We never will know because Miles actually steps in the middle before Spider-Man was about to kill Craven, or maybe not. I don't know. It was uncertain. And this triggered a fight between Miles and Peter, which was, I feel like, a long time coming. We kind of saw like the verbal stresses between their relationship really play out in this fight. But thanks to Miles, we defeat Peter and help get the symbiote suit off. And Peter is back to his senses and makes the sweet apology to Miles. So the Spider Pals are back. Unfortunately, though, that left Peter with the decision to destroy the symbiote. So he headed over to Oscorp to do that and was encountered by a frail Harry Osborn, who was desperate to get the symbiote back so he could survive from his illness. And with that, Venom made his appearance. We saw Harry finally turn into Venom, a huge moment. And let's just say Venom was not holding back one bit. What count were we at in terms of security guards that probably died during that altercation?
We're 132.
Yeah, 132 security guards confirmed. dead when Venom
more.
was unleashed. But what we really saw there is Kraven's interest in Venom, and that led to a fight between Kraven and Venom. And you know what? Curiosity killed the cat, or killed the Kraven in this case, because he died via decapitation. He's not coming back. I'm pretty sure he's dead for real.
Was it for sure decapitation? I just know he like bit his like like maybe it fully didn't come off. Maybe it was like nearly headless Nick from Harry Potter.
But even if it's like nearly headless, like, yes, still mostly headless, his necklace fell off. I don't think Venom, after he took a little chunk out, was like, you know what, let me take this necklace off and throw it on the ground. No,
It's
that
very
necklace-
dramatic.
Yeah, it was it fell off the headless Kraven.
Yeah.
And then, that ended the chapter there with us learning that Harry's actually being manipulated by the symbiote with the dreams of his mother healing the world. And
Yes.
Venom is going to help him do that, or so he thinks. That leads us, Nick, to a jam-packed episode, hopefully ahead. But before we get to this episode and all the juicy deets of where the story is going to take us, we got to talk about the question of the day, Nick.
My favorite.
And I hope this question is going to be your favorite. It took us both some time. Usually we just jump into the question of the day.
Yeah.
But we did research.
We did.
For this question of the day. I'm very proud of us. Look at us. Who would have thought? Who would have thought, Nick?
Well, we always do research on the show. We come in prepared. Yeah.
Do
we have we have like 5-6 pages of notes usually.
Yeah,
we
but
record.
this is like additional research, Nick.
Yes, it is. It is.
Okay, this is
Okay.
additional research, more than we're used to.
Yep.
So you're welcome, listeners. You're welcome. But Nick, question of the day: who would you cast in a live action remake of the Spider-Man 2 video game?
Which would be a great movie, to be honest.
It would. It's turning out to be great so far.
Yes. We went with the 4 main characters: Miles,
Yep.
Harry, Peter, and Mary Jane.
Mhm.
I'm leaving out Kraven because, again, like, I don't know who could pull off Kraven. He's like 7 feet tall,
Yeah.
but his acting is incredible, and he's got hair. So a lot that already, most of like the bodybuilder actors nowadays are older, like The Rock, John Cena, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Dave Bautista, and they're normally mostly bald as well.
Yeah, that's true.
They don't have that like man bun. Sorry, not a mohawk, man bun.
Yeah. Unless you do something like Zac Efron, but in the Claw movie. Like, not, or is it the Claw? Is it called the Claw?
Iron Claw.
Iron Claw. Yeah. That Zac Efron, not the High School Musical Zac Efron.
Okay.
Or, which would be my choice for Kraven. And I just forgot his name. Nope, I got it. Tom Hardy.
See, I obviously Tom Hardy comes to mind, but
But
been
he would-
like Bane.
And he'll be Kraven too.
He is Venom
Right?
also. He's Venom.
And he will be Kraven too.
It's kind of awkward for me. I feel like,
Alright. Well,
he's
then
had
who
too
are
many
your
times
other
before.
choices?
All right, here we go. For Miles was somebody that I thought could pull off Miles, watching him for a long time in Stranger Things. That's Caleb McLaughlin.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yes, he's got the athleticism. Like, I think he could pull off Spider-Man really well.
Oh, that's a really good one. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Okay, so how, like,
And he's
you're
young.
going a little bit younger than
Yes.
for your casting here. I was going with Shameik Moore. I know this may be a cheat because he's technically already Miles Morales in the Spider-Verse movies, but he's also a regular actor. And I can't unhear anyone else but him.
He could pull it off for sure, but how old is he now?
He's not that old. He's
Is he
only
in his
27.
30s? Oh, 27? Yeah, that could work. That could work.
Yeah.
Hollywood does have a history of hiring, 28-year-olds to play 16-year-olds.
And you know what, Nick? Black don't crack. So there you go.
Agreed. Actually, Caleb McLaughlin, I don't think he's that young either.
He's probably like 24,
He's
25.
22.
Oh, okay.
So honestly, I think he's in the range to play Miles.
That makes sense.
Okay, I like both of our answers. I like because I was thinking along the same lines. I've seen him in another movie. I forget what it was a while back, and I thought he was great, and I think he should be in more.
Yeah, live action stuff. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right, so I'll go with Peter next.
Okay.
And he's a little shorter of an actor, but that's okay. Is Taron Egerton from the Kingsman movies.
Ah, that's actually a really good choice.
I think
How
he
old
can
is
pull off
he?
Peter.
He's like 30 something?
He is. Let me check that right now. Oh, he's my age. Born 1989. So he's
okay. There you go.
34. Yeah.
I mean, there you go. That's a good one. I like how you were thinking of the age gap between Miles and Peter.
Yep.
Because I was not. I also wasn't thinking that hard, so I guess this really shows my research skills. I just put Tom Holland because every time I see this Spider-Man,
you're just picking.
I just think of Tom Holland.
That's not fair. You're picking the people who already play these characters.
Well, that's my loophole. You should have thought of it. Don't be salty
but my
because you
answers
didn't
are
think
sick,
of it.
So
okay, fine. All right.
No wonder you mentioned not doing enough research. You just picked people who already play these characters.
I picked people who I could definitely see in this role because I've seen them previously in this role. In these roles, yeah. But that's a really good choice, actually. I'm impressed you thought of that, Nick.
All right, you go next again for the next character.
For Harry, I said Will Poulter.
Great choice. I think he really pull it off.
He's like a great actor that I really did want to punch him in the face in Guardians of the Galaxy. And Harry, I cannot stand him. There's something about Harry.
Something about Harry?
Something about Harry. I just can't.
I think he'd be great for this role, and he is born in 1990, so he's 33. It's the same age around Taron Egerton, which is Dev Patel, who played Zuko in Last Airbender, long time ago, and Slumdog Millionaire.
Yep.
He has that broodingness about him that he can turn on really well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he can really pull off Harry incredibly well. So that's my choice.
That's a really good answer. All right. Now we come to our final fourth pick. MJ, Nick, who do you have?
I have a traditional redhead here from Riverdale. She is 29, Madeline Pesh.
I know who you're talking about.
Yes.
Okay. That's a good choice.
And I think she's still in the age range. So
yeah.
I think it works.
I went with you could get a sense of the type of movies I watch. Sophie Turner.
Yeah.
I understand.
I thought you were
going to
say Zendaya.
No.
Zendaya,
I mean, I would have, but
I thought you were just going to do the cop out.
I was
which would be a great choice anyway.
But Sophie Turner, 27.
I think that's a great choice. Great choice.
Yeah, I think she would be awesome. I think she could bring a lot of depth to MJ. I think that's a good choice. Hey, look, this is how we would cast Spider-Man 2, but how would you cast Spider-Man 2? Let us know on our socials and in our Discord, because we're there too. But now, we got to get back into the game, Nick. We are jumping back into Spider-Man 2, continuing our journey, and we're going to hopefully find out what is going on with Harry. More specifically, where is Harry? Where's Harry? I don't know. Hopefully we find out on the other side of this break.
If Harry's still wearing his badge, I can use Oscorp's satellite dishes to find him. Please be wearing that badge. Great. Getting a strong signal that way. Time to move. This signal is moving around. It's gotta still be on Harry. I was such a jerk to Harry when I had that suit. I need to find him. Apologize. and try to get through to him. Closing in on you, buddy. Help's on the way. Hang in there. We'll get this thing off you. And I'll work with your dad and Dr. Connors to get you fixed up. Somehow.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda, Pete.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Well, we hear Pete saying that, he does feel sorry. He just witnessed his friend transform into a very sickly, frail, desperate friend, confidant, into this all-powerful, very indestructible, or at least it seems, Venom, right? So he's taking in that shock, but then now he's trying to process it, and I think that's where we're hearing him say, like, I should have done that, been there for you, Harry, like, I was such a jerk for you. So obviously there's a lot that's going through Peter's mind, and he feels remorseful, but the question is, does Peter bear a bit of responsibility here? Like, because we never actually talk. Do you think it's full responsibility?
Yes.
But remember, Harry had this suit before Peter even got involved.
Yeah.
So I think this could have potentially been an inevitable thing.
So are you saying that Peter holds very little responsibility because the symbiote told him what to do?
Like, what do you mean the symbiote told him what to do?
Or like just tricked him that he was doing the right thing constantly?
Well, I'm saying more in terms of not like for Peter's actions, but I'm saying specifically for Harry and what's happening to Harry now. Does Peter hold any responsibility for that? Because I don't know if he does.
The moment that Peter should have had a stronger will. And again, I've never put this. Maybe if I put the symbiote suit on one day, I'll know what it feels like. But otherwise, I'm going to judge. I'm going to judge Peter here and say the moment that he knew and he was saying he needed to get the suit off, okay, and he needs to find a cure for Harry. And then the moment he went to Dr. Connors and they found that rock and everything, then he was like, the suit, no, I got to wear the suit. And then afterwards, he's just like, we got to find another cure for Harry. So he changed his mind there. So it was that specific moment where I fault Peter for not having doubt from what the symbiote was telling him because he changed his tune completely.
But, okay, regardless if Peter made the wrong choice there because he was wearing the suit and might have been influenced and manipulated by the suit to make that decision, which he still holds some responsibility for. I get that. If Harry came in contact with the suit before as he was wearing the suit, the idea from the start was to get the suit back on Harry because they didn't know how dangerous it was. And then Peter made the right decision to say, look, I cannot give this to Harry. We have to destroy this. He made the right choice in that moment for his friend. But Harry made the choice to stick with the suit, whether he was being manipulated and desperate for the suit. He was not looking for another cure. His dad was working on some cure, but he wasn't hopeful because he felt the loss of something that made him feel great almost instantly. So I think it's like, I don't think Peter could hold any responsibility there because it could have still happened. If there was never that transfer of the suit, do you think Harry would have still become Venom?
The way it was, I don't know. You know what? I don't know because, well, we didn't see any of the signs yet. Everything seemed pretty hunky-dory. Like he was there to help Peter. Well, I'm sure it would have turned. But no, that's the thing. I don't think it would have turned into Venom. It would have turned, but then it started, maybe. Who knows? It's really hard to say.
That's a heated one. I feel like we're going to have to revisit that one in our final episode when we figure out how this adventure ends. But, we hear here, Peter remembers that Harry has his Emily May Foundation badge. So he's thinking in order to find Harry, he could use the satellites around New York to ping to the badge. I'm not a scientist. I don't get it, but it works. It works for Peter. And he ends up finding an overpass. And underneath there's a bunch of tendrils. This is supposedly where Harry is. And instead of finding Harry, he finds Harry's badge. As continuing to adventure through, we think there's a Harry in there, but it turns out to be another symbiote. What the actual heckadees is happening? I'm so confused because we've been dealing with this. If there was another symbiote, Harry could have had another suit. Like, what is going on? We learned that like there is, I guess, somehow maybe Venom turned a citizen into a symbiote. Like what? I was so confused, Nick, in this moment. I was like, wait, what? What is going on?
Just seems like it's now just spreading everywhere. That was my instant thought.
It's like a virus.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
All right. Well, it's probably not good, and it isn't good because while Peter is fighting off the symbiote, he actually calls Miles to clue him in on everything that's been happening. Look at them. Reunited again, spider pals, answering each other's calls and cluing in each other when things are happening. I love it. But Peter finally destroys the symbiotes. He saves the citizens by like literally pulling them out of the symbiote, which is
I thought it was
it
hilarious.
was disturbing. It was
I
so
thought it was
disturbing.
funny.
What?
It was like, and you see their faces. It was like,
no one could see you unless they're watching on YouTube, and they're listening into the podcast. They can't see you. He's obviously recreating what happened there, but we do manage to save people, whether it's funny or not, Nick. It does happen.
You sure you're okay? Miles, I need help with these things.
Got your messages. Sorry, I've been looking for my mom. Assume you saw Craven's dead?
What? No.
You think it was Harry?
Maybe. Probably. We've got to stop him.
Okay, I've got an idea. When you were under the influence, certain sounds made you weak.
That bell. But we can't just carry it around.
No, but I have this mixing app on my phone. I can recreate the bell sonic elements. Then we can use it against Harry and his army.
That's genius. Glad you decided to study music tech.
Feel free to share that opinion with the college acceptance board. What's up, Genki?
There you are. Your mom and I
We
are...
were looking for you.
And I was looking for you. I texted you I was okay.
Well, I didn't get it because we've been on the subway, looking for you.
We're glad you're okay. I'll ride with your mom back home. Can you meet us?
Gotta deal with something first, but I'll be there as soon as I can.
So Miles breaks the news to Peter about Craven's death. And they don't know exactly what happened. So Miles is like, do you think it's Harry? Peter first says, maybe. Then quickly changes and says, probably. Do you think, I think this is a sign he's definitely changed how he sees Harry because he's seen what Venom can do. But do you think this really does change maybe what he's thinking Harry is capable of? Because Peter doesn't kill.
Yeah, I think. Well, he did. I think he killed maybe a symbiote.
I mean,
you see some of those
yeah,
those combos with some of those hunters.
But Peter as Spider-Man, Spider-Man doesn't chooses not to kill.
I think from what he remembers being in the symbiote suit, I think that's why he changed his mind from saying like maybe to probably, because he sees what that power does to somebody, and especially in the emotional state that Harry's in right now. Again, he turned into Venom only because he had been stewing in his emotions and his anger and his hate for such a long time without anybody talking to him. That is probably even worse than it was with Peter.
Yeah. I wonder if that's going to change how Peter approaches his next encounter with Venom. Because I think he has learned a thing or two about like what you said when he was wearing the suit, to even his interactions with Craven, and Craven telling him he has to, make that really unleash, don't hold back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in order to go up with Harry again, he may need to let everything go and not hold back. So it's just setting me up. I'm like, man, I really don't want him to find Harry right now. My heart can't take it.
I think he's going to kill Harry.
I don't know if he's gonna, like, I just don't know what like Harry's capable of, because like this is turning out to be a problem that's not just between the two friends and the symbiote making issues for Harry. It is now becoming a whole thing that's across New York. Like, we're seeing symbiotes pop up.
And
And
the
I'm
world.
hoping this doesn't lead to another moment where Spider-Man, Peter, has to think about his responsibility and suffer another loss.
We all
Like,
know
he
that's going to
suffered-
happen, though,
But he
right?
suffered so many losses.
But
And I
that's-
don't want it to be the friendship.
That's the history of Peter Parker. It is a sad one, unfortunately.
I am not ready. And Miles is not ready either. I don't
No.
think Miles would be able to handle that. But he does think of a plan to handle these recent appearances of symbiotes in New York, because he learned while Peter was, quote, under the influence, unquote. I love that. I loved
He doesn't get drunk, but he's
He's
under
just-
the influence of Venom.
I loved that Miles just was like, while you were under the influence. It was so good. So he plans to use his mixing program to weaponize it against the symbiotes. And in, true Spider-Man fashion, they think quick. And in this moment, this is where Kraven kind of lives on beyond the grave, because Miles creates the sound of Kraven's bell. That was
Yes.
used during Miles and Peter's fight. So I like that. That's kind of like a callback to that moment just a few chapters ago. And Miles heads over to a shipyard to record the different sounds to help recreate that bell sound. And then while he's doing that, a crap load of symbiotes appeared. Like, what is going on? Like, they're just coming out from anywhere. And my thing, it's like, how is Harry doing this? Because I'm pretty sure he didn't like go across the city and like just spit his
Well, maybe he
tendrils
did.
everywhere.
Maybe it's that vision that he saw, right? Where, Venom was basically telling that they'll heal the whole world, and then it shows the whole symbiote covering the world. That's why I'm
Yeah.
not surprised. I don't know exactly how it's happening, but I'm not surprised that it's happening. I'm sure
I just wasn't surprised. You weren't surprised to see other symbiotes show up?
No, when I saw it at first, I embraced it as in, okay, this is really cool. I thought that something like this would happen.
All right. Well,
Wait. Before we move
yeah.
on, though, I think this whole finding sounds with Miles is pretty cool. And also, like, all the story beats where we feel like we need to take a breath, this gives us a chance to. But I like the fact that it is showing the human side of Miles and what he actually likes doing, which is making beats. So I enjoyed that.
He does love making beats, and you even hear Peter's like, hey, you're really good at this. And he's like, yeah, hey, my college acceptance, like, can you just let them know? Because I'm still figuring that out. So he's still dealing, like, he still manages to like swoop in his real life woes and like talk about it while dealing with this crisis of symbiotes just appearing all over New York. Well, he does create the sounds, and it pretty much makes the concussive blast gadget that you have into a sonic blast with the help of Peter, who shows up to transform that gadget. Then we get a call from Genki, and we hear from him that him and Miles' mom didn't actually make it home because they're actually stuck underground in a tunnel where a bunch of symbiotes are, and it keeps cracking up, and obviously they're in danger. So Miles and Peter heads over there. When the two arrive outside of the tunnel, there's lots of symbiotes that you have to fight. Symbiotes are scary, and we're going to talk more about fighting them in just a bit, but I really get creeped out. I think it's the tendrils that creep me out about this whole thing.
Tendrils?
Yeah, the little
Wait, what are tendrils?
They're what pop out. That's what tendrils are. They're like little, they're like tentacles, but not tentacles.
Oh,
They're
okay.
tendrils.
I see them.
Yeah. You're like, I see.
I don't know if the symbiotes are scary.
That is gross. It's like firstly nope, scary.
Do you ever think though, did it ever cross your mind that like, okay, for this small moment though, everyone in New York who has cancer might be cancer free? Not that I'm saying I want the world to turn into symbiotes, but there is like it cures all your ailments.
Yeah, I get that. Like the people that are becoming them will feel great and powerful.
You just lose a sense of self. That's all.
You just lose yourself
Yeah.
and potentially turn crazy. You
Yes.
know, like
Yeah, that's all.
That's all.
It's a
That's
little
all.
sacrifice.
Potentially killed your other loved ones through attacking them, but that's
Yeah,
all. That's
a little
all.
bit,
Let's
yeah.
heal the world.
Yeah.
We're on board, Harry. We're on board.
Get me a symbiote suit.
Let me get one. But I don't know. It just creeps me out. I don't like it. But obviously this is a really scary moment for Miles because he can't see his mom and Genki, so he doesn't even know what's happening. He even tries to call them a few times, and like it's just cutting out because they're in the tunnel, and he's fighting. And Miles is also fighting off all these symbiotes. But you hear this like nice calming mentor back and forth between Peter and Miles. So it was just also refreshing to see Peter returning to that figure to help calm Miles, help him stay positive and also focused on what he can control, which is kicking ass and fighting all these symbiotes. But we learn, we finally get to the train, and we learn from Genki and Rio that the tendrils have made the doors stuck on the train. So in order to help the people inside them, you have to figure out how to get rid of the tendrils. And Miles and Peter, being the smart people they are, they figure out that you actually have to use the sonic blast that we just created to attach them to the hearts of the tendrils. So they're like these huge lumps. I just call them lumps. They're lumps.
Sacks.
Oh, no.
They are sacks.
No,
They're
don't
giant
say
sacks.
Don't. I don't. It's gross. Don't say
Giant
sacks. Well, you put the gadget on there, and it starts a timer. And now we have to fight off a bunch of symbiotes before or to allow the blast to go off. So let's talk about symbiotes and fighting them. There's different colors of symbiotes, different types that you can fight. What was the most frustrating one for you?
Well, once again, I'm max level at this point, so easy peasy.
Did it feel easy peasy for you at this point?
It's a little difficult, but yeah, no. Maybe I should have put my settings to hard.
Maybe you should have, because this wasn't like a hard fight for me, but I was not fully upgraded. Nick.
Yeah.
So for me it was the red symbiotes that like are more brute types.
Yep.
And their attacks. But then it was like, it felt like one thing that was satisfying for me in this moment, because I didn't upgrade everything, it felt harder.
Did you have all your gadgets updated and upgraded?
I think I had a few that needed to be upgraded.
Because that, for me, what I noticed in this game specifically, especially when there's a lot of enemies that you have to face, if you just use all your gadgets at once, it's nuts. It's so easy.
There's no hope for them.
There's no hope, because you have the bell, or the sonic bell, that stuns them.
Yeah.
And then the one gadget that uses the webs to like sling them into the gadget.
Okay. I know what you're talking
all
about.
just like they all topple over, and then you just combo all these stumbled enemies. Boom.
Yeah, see, I'm happy I didn't do that, because like it made me more immersed in this fight.
I felt immersed.
Did you?
Unimmerse
You didn't feel the full immersiveness, because it was like, oh, they just showed up and they're just there and I could take them out easy.
I'm
but
Spider-Man.
For me, yeah, but it still should be a challenge for Spider-Man. And
the
that's why
bosses are challenges, but who cares about these ground villains?
This is a pinnacle moment in the story, like where you have all these different enemies that you've never seen before show up.
I'll eat them for breakfast.
All right. Well, Nick does finish them and eat them for breakfast, because we finally defeat the symbiotes.
Spider-Man! You're okay. What happened?
I took your advice. I let go of some things that didn't serve me. Come on.
That really sucks. I thought I was gonna die. My life was flashing before my eyes.
You're good, man.
That time when we went mini golfing for my birthday and I got that hole-in-one to win, I cheated. I could pick up the ball and dropped it in when you weren't looking, and
You were 8.
And honestly, I never liked the sandwiches you traded for at lunch, but I went along with it because I knew how much you loved my mom's banchan, and I'm seeing someone new, by the way. Her name's Andy, and she's great, and please don't kill me, but I just thought of a sequel for Sweet Nonagon, and
Wait. Andy from Kim? Oh, she's real cool.
Thanks for saving us.
Look, I'm sorry I've been so busy. I'll do better. Make the time to hang out.
Be careful. Genki, let's get uptown. I'll make you something good for dinner.
Next step, find Harry.
So this is a really touching moment between Miles, Rio, and Genki. We kind of see the resolution of Miles's story in a sense, the frustrations that he's been feeling, and his distance that he's been creating between his family and friends and him because he's just been so lost at what to do. So this was really sweet to see. I thought it was also hilarious to see Genki go from man in chair to then being scared out of his mind because he's experiencing the field for, the first time.
Mhm.
And I was just like, oh, Genki.
Experiencing the field.
He is.
Yeah, he's dating someone. So to me, Miles is definitely missing out on just life, unfortunately. So that's something he struggled with throughout this game. I wonder. Well, no, that's the thing. It's like Peter wants to take a break. Would this make Miles feel like he wants to take a break as well?
I don't think so. Because it doesn't seem like, his reaction wasn't like, what? Like my reaction was like, wait, what? Genki is dating someone? Like, where did this come from? Where's this person been throughout the game? But for Miles, his reaction was like, oh man, I love Andy. Right. I think that's their name. But it was just like, oh my gosh, such happiness for Genki because they're best friends in the end of it.
Yeah.
And I don't think before, even throughout while Miles was kind of struggling with balancing the two, he never really showed any, besides apologizing to his friends for missing something, himself never really seemed like he felt bad about missing out. So I think this is just a realization for us that wow, even though we've been following Miles for so much of the story, Miles really doesn't, as Miles really don't know that much about his friends and where they're at right now in the game. And that's just a reality more than a consequence, I think, for Miles.
Just trying to save the world.
He's just trying to save the world. He's just trying to do what he does best. But I think what was important is seeing that apology between Miles, Rio, and Genki because he was not cluing them in about how he's feeling and the pressures.
Slash, he was kidnapped for how long?
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah.
That too. That was nice to see the reunion. Rio doesn't have to worry at all. I mean, she's pretty chill. She's a pretty chill mom.
Yeah, my mom would freak out if I was Spider-Man.
My mom. Yeah, mom would be like, so take off that suit and go home. Yeah. You're not going anywhere. It's like, oh, okay. All right. Sorry, Pete. I got to go home and sit there. Can't be Spider-Man anymore. But it's down to business again as we try to find Harry. And the most obvious place to look for Harry is, Harry's place.
Mr. Osborn, are you okay?
I'm worried about Harry. And I have no one else to talk to. He's, not himself right now. And it's all my fault.
It's mine too. Harry told me about his treatment. I knew something was off, but I was just happy he was back.
I should have told him that more.
You still can. I'll let you know if I hear from him, Mr. Osborn.
Okay. I appreciate it, Peter.
I hate this.
I love this.
You do?
You've hit the nail on the head. Finally!
top story. Everybody's talking about it. This is editor material.
Editor?
Congratulations. Your first assignment, write more juicy stuff by tomorrow morning. Drama, controversy, just like this.
Like this.
Get writing!
MJ.
I didn't get fired from the Bugle. In fact, I think I got a promotion.
Hey, that's what you wanted, right?
Yeah, I thought it was.
Then that's
Great. Hey, listen. Something's gone wrong with Harry.
What happened?
well,
Hang on, someone's at the door.
It's kind of hard to explain. Just promise me you'll stay away from him, okay? MJ?
Yeah, all right. There's a lot that happened there, but let's backtrack a little bit because we hear at the start of those clips Norman Osborn calling Peter, confiding in Peter because he has no one else to talk to this situation about. Norman doesn't have friends. I mean, I thought just wealthy people have people that they just
I'm sure he
to talk to
does.
at the side.
I'm sure Peter is really the only one who understands, I guess. He's the closest person to Harry, right?
Yeah, I get that. But I don't know.
Maybe it's Harry that doesn't have many friends, right? So he doesn't know.
Oh, true. Who
can't
to
just
talk to
yeah.
Harry about
Yes.
that would care.
Right.
That's fair. I could see that because I'm like, Norman's sometimes a real jerk to Peter.
He is, but he's a
so-
jerk in general, so.
Yeah, that is true. That's true. But I think we're seeing this bond between Norman and Peter kind of tighten. Like they're through this horrible experience. I think they are becoming a little bit closer. All these little interactions that they have. And we already know that Norman does not like Spider-Man at all because Spider-Man was present when Harry made his transformation, and I think Norman does blame Spider-Man a little bit for happening.
Annoying.
It's so annoying.
It's one of my biggest pet peeves of this game is how annoying Norman is about Spider-Man. It's like, I get it if you saw something but you didn't even really see anything.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I've actually been rewatching the animated series, the 90s animated series of Spider-Man, and Norman's pretty annoying in that too. I'm not going to lie. He complains about everything when it comes to Spider-Man. And he's not that great to Peter either. Just saying. But I'm curious to how that relationship will develop because we're getting little taste of that, and I'm just like, oh man, this is gonna be traumatic if we see this come further in the story. It's not gonna turn out good.
It's not going to. No, you always know the situations with Peter / Spider-Man, and he gets close to someone as Peter who hates Spider-Man, and that's where it's obviously heading.
Yeah. Oh, poor Pete can't catch a break. But MJ does get a break, at least at work, because she gets a promotion for her Spider-Man story. This was the story that got Peter when he was in the black suit really upset. But I mean, JJ liked it, and if JJ likes it, I mean, hey. Sure. She calls Peter, they call each other. I can't remember who calls who because Peter was also calling her to check up on her. Mm-hmm. But she shares this news with Peter, and it's funny because you hear Peter's reaction because it's not like not having the suit on makes him more like, hey, good. Hate Spider-Man story. Got you a promotion. That's great. He still sounds so disappointed. And is just like, yeah, that's what you wanted, right? Like, good for you. But it's also still trying to be supportive.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to hear how he's trying to balance that. And she doesn't even seem that excited about it.
I don't think he's trying. Yeah, I don't think he's even pretending to be disappointed. I think he's just sad in general about everything. But he's got to show support regardless.
Yeah. it's a tough situation that he's in, but he does show his support, and also tries to warn MJ about Harry. But he shows up at the door and kidnaps her. I think, I don't know. It just cuts off. But I was not expecting that.
You weren't?
The first place Harry would go to is to
Yes.
MJ.
The moment
He wouldn't even go home.
The moment he knocked on the door, well, whoever knocked on the door, I knew it was Harry right away. I'm like, oh boy, here we go.
See, I thought he would have went to Dr. Connors. That's what I was thinking this move would have been, because there was still that piece of metal thingy.
To kill him? I don't know.
No, at the lab.
Oh, to take
there
the
was
rock.
Yeah, whatever that is.
Yeah.
I thought he was been like, oh yeah, I killed all those people. Got to go back.
Well, you know, in like
Got the rock.
A dramatic story, if there's a knock on the door, it's not going to be a pizza man.
Well, I mean, obviously, when I heard the knock, I knew it was Harry at that point, but I wasn't expecting before we heard the knock to have Harry show up at the door. But he does, and it leads to, an interesting scene. But before that happens, Dr. Connors checks in with Spider-Man to ask him if he has any symptoms, which catches Peter off guard because he's like, wait, what? What symptoms? Apparently, the symbiote channels a collective mind of consciousness that still may be inside of Spider-Man based off of Dr. Connor's research. So this could either give Peter an upper hand or really mess him up. Like, do we think that we're going to see Peter come back and be like evilish again?
Maybe
or
not
struggle?
Yeah, maybe not evilish, but I feel like something's going on because this isn't the first time Dr. Connors has asked us about how we're feeling. This is the second call that he's made. So to me, I feel like this is definitely going to be a part of the story, but I just don't know exactly what it is.
Well, we're not at that part yet because Peter arrives at his house.
MJ, where's Harry?
Pete, you look tense. Coffee?
We need to talk.
You must get tired making the world a better place every single day. But I can help. All you have to do is let me.
This isn't you.
Wrong. This is the real me. I finally have the power to realize our vision. Are you giving up on me?
Harry, we need to get that thing off you.
Do not call us a thing.
Harry.
We are not, Harry. We are.
Let her go!
We finally hear we are Venom.
So cool.
Oh, it was so cool. It was done so well.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
That just gave me chills again listening to it.
It's done so well.
So perfectly.
Ah. Well, Harry, when Peter arrives, though, they also do this thing where you have the humor that we saw with the symbiote when Peter had it still incorporated with Harry as he has it. So pouring of the coffee or pouring of tea, I think it was.
Yeah.
So you still see a little bit of that humor here. It's also weird that Harry's just sitting down. Like, what do you think him and MJ were talking about right before Peter arrived? Because it had to be a few minutes.
No, he's probably just like, "Don't move, you moron."
So he's just
You
sitting
didn't
in
help me.
silence.
No, probably awkward silence. But yeah, I do like the coffee. The tension, the stakes are so high, but there's still those little nods. It's pretty cool.
I love it. They did it so well. But we witness Harry's final plea to his friend Peter, as he's trying to get Peter to understand and to kind of join him on this mission to heal the world. But then he loses his temper and breaks the coffee table, or breaks the whole dinner table, which it's like, hey, I know you're wealthy, but like you're gonna have to replace that, Harry. Just saying, after all this,
He's got the money. You can do that.
I mean, he's probably going to get him like a 12-seater.
After all this,
table.
like you're really optimistic, huh?
I mean, yeah, it always ends up happy. Nick, what do you? It's always happy.
Okay.
It's always happy. It has to be.
Are you the symbiote? We are happy.
We are happy. But MJ jumps in to protect Peter as well, which was really interesting to see. Like, I think that just shows her love and dedication to Peter. As Venom tries to attack Peter, she just steps in the way, which obviously is not good for her because she gets dragged away. And we managed to see how Venom changes people into symbiotes. Kinda, because there's also the couch is blocking him, so we don't fully see it, but he does manage to change MJ into Scream, who, if you are a comic book fan, you know that Scream is one of the 5 original symbiotes that is a spawn of Venom, of course, Carnage being another of the 5. I was like, what are they doing? This is crazy. I was not anticipating. Like, we just got the reveal of Venom. We just found out that there's other symbiotes. Then we just got another reveal of one of the main spawn, Scream.
So apart from Venom and Carnage, I don't know much about symbiote. So I didn't know that there's 5. I don't know who the other 2 are either. I don't know what Scream is, but I thought this reveal was incredible. I was all for it. I thought this was really cool, especially in the fact that maybe 5 seconds earlier, I kind of rolled my eyes or said, I kind of like took a deep breath because I'm like, no, like this better not be a damsel in distress situation where he's got to go rescue MJ. I'm like, MJ is such a, strong, tough character that I didn't think something like this would happen. So I was just like, oh no, like don't make it just this. And then when they make her scream, like that just made me so happy and kind of took a 180 on how I was feeling. And I was like, okay, this is badass.
I was actually worried of the death of MJ.
So was I but that's again, when I thought that too, when in terms of like the dating machine that they did earlier, I thought, oh, is this how MJ is going to die? I was interested. I was very intrigued at what was happening.
Thank goodness she isn't dead, because dang, we get a Scream fight, Peter versus Scream / MJ, which is crazy to think about. There's probably a lot going through Peter's mind, but let's talk about this fight because there is 3 phases in it. Scream is super quick. She's also very vertical because you are in this suburb where they're building more houses. I have no idea. I didn't know that there was a new development by Peter's house that was just being built. Should have bought there. Yeah. But it creates this really interesting dynamic where you do have to look up, you have to look down, and it's because usually in most fights it's Peter doing that. Like Peter has the verticality rather than the enemy. But we have that here with Scream. She also throws her tendrils, but more importantly, in true Scream fashion, whips her hair so she has very wide range.
Yep.
How did you find this interaction through all the phases?
It was difficult because of how fast Scream is. Yeah. And I had difficulty using my my Spider-Man powers whenever I go in. Like combos, you could only get a few combos in until she moves again. But using the actual Spider-Man, like the iron, not webs, the iron claws. Are they iron claws?
The legs, like his legs.
Yes, his legs. I would miss because Scream would be so fast. So I really had to time myself when I was using a lot of these mechanics. And then also what was really useful is obviously using your gadgets for slowing her down, stunning her with sound, or using, the metal pipes around to stun her. Because that was really the only way you could take her down is when she was stunned, because she moved a lot.
Yeah, she moved a lot. I like that too, because you were able to use the metal pipes, because when my gadget was refilling, I was like, oh man, like, am I just supposed to dodge this? Because she also has a lot of health. And after the first two phases, after the first phase, I was like, oh crap, they're really pushing this fight into, like, this is a fight.
Yeah.
Like, there's another phase. Then the second one ended, and I was like, holy crap, the health on this thing, right? So I found it actually very fulfilling, because you have to think about it, and I find it even more fulfilling, Nick, that you even found it difficult.
Thank you. It's also it's hard in this fight because MJ's just throwing. Actually, it's not hard. It's fun. It's cool when she's like throwing insults or like every insecurity that MJ might have. She's throwing it at Peter, and Peter's just profusely apologizing while beating the crap out of Scream. I just thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, his first "I'm sorry, MJ" really was not the last. He apologizes so much during this fight, because you hear her. I think the one that really stood out for me is she was asking for his validation. She vocalizes how she's tired of looking for Peter to validate her and having to come second to Peter, which I guess I kind of gave a thought about how it would be dating a Spider-Man, like just having to worry about that person all the time, but also they are so integral to the city that it really does become a part of them.
Yeah.
And it always is about them too.
Yeah, Spider-Man comes first in the relationship.
Always.
Yeah.
But what about MJ?
Yeah, exactly.
What about MJ? And that's what she vocalizes. But you know what? After a few beatdowns and a lots of apologizing, we finally beat Scream and get MJ back.
MJ, this isn't what you want.
How do you know what we want?
You're Mary Jane Watson. You want the truth.
Yes. I want the truth. I'm okay. Yeah, I think I'm okay.
You did it.
Wait. Not yet.
Watson, where are you with my apple fritters? I'm starving, and
Jonah? Kiss my ass. I quit.
Watson!
You're so cool.
I love how JJ always gets cut off. When, like, he's always just like, wait, what? Where's Parker? Like, I'm thinking of animated series as well. Like, where's Parker? And like, Peter just leaves. He's like, I'm out of here. You keep talking to yourself. And Watson, MJ just cuts him off.
He's too much of a, like, your boss shouldn't be that much of your life. So.
Yeah. Yep.
Stop
and
calling.
Stop calling JJ. But unfortunate for Scream, we have MJ who is strong-minded and also just really caring for the truth, because that is what brings Scream back to her senses. Or MJ back to her senses and Scream no more. And that's a crazy turn of events that just happened in like what, 20 minutes. Like, I like how this game just like sprinkles in these experiences, and it's like, now you have symbiotes, now you have Scream, now you have what else? I don't know.
We thought you probably think the story's winding down, but nope. Here's something else that they're going to add. I'm just glad that MJ's not dead, because that's where I thought it was going to happen, where you'd have to like kill her, unfortunately.
Oh my goodness. Thank goodness. I would not be ready to go that deep just after the reveal of Venom. But I do want to just quickly go back to JJ, because I want to talk to his HR department at the Daily Bugle. MJ just wrote the biggest story that JJ loved, the biggest hate Spider-Man story, gave her a promotion, and still getting her to get his food, his fritters. I love apple fritters, JJ, but that is on a whole nother level.
Are you surprised?
I am. I thought he would have just been like, yeah, I just got off the phone with you and gave you this promotion. You don't have to get me the fritters anymore. I could get some other Joe Schmo in the corner. He has so many people at his disposal. Why does MJ
it's all about
to
control.
Get his fritters?
It's all about control. He controls all his workers. He is not a good boss. HR should be on him. And he's a workaholic as well, so he expects everyone else to be as well.
All right, well, we have to make a call into the Daily Bugle's HR department, but right after this break, we're going to continue to dive into more, so stay tuned.
I thought I'd lost you.
I think I've been lost for a while now. Not just to the symbiote. For months I've been trying to be something I'm not.
I'm glad you're back.
Sorry.
It wasn't you. And I wasn't me earlier.
Pete, Pete, it was like some kind of hive mind in there. I saw you. And Harry, he was going after this rock.
Miles is at City Hall.
Go. I love you.
I love you.
All right, there's been lots of, resolution, lots of heartfelt moments. I think a lot of moments that I've been waiting for, because as we know, Peter's been a jerk for many missions throughout this game because of the black suit.
Yep.
So it's sweet to see him and MJ finally come to a better understanding of each other. And also MJ expressed all the pressures that she's facing as well. Oh, the favorite one too during the Scream fight was, you can't even pay your mortgage. MJ, none of us could pay our mortgage. Rates are so high. But yeah, it's great that there's this moment of like, okay, things are good. Obviously, I think there's also more conversation that has to come after this. The one that really stood out to me, I'm going to go back to Miles, his mom, and Genki.
Okay.
Because even though we had a quick kind of, hey, wrap up Miles' story, was it too quick?
I think this is a struggle I have throughout this game. Is it's very much a Miles / Peter story, but what is Spider-Man 2? Is it Peter's story with Miles in it? That's what I assume that it is. But at the same time, is it both of their stories. Either way, I feel like Peter's story has taken majority or bulk of this game.
Yeah.
And Miles has been the side Spider-Man for majority of this game. You feel like it anyway. I'm not surprised if it went by quick, because I think they're trying to go through so much with the symbiote, Peter, Harry, MJ, trying to like squeeze in everything. So I think that's why maybe that moment is deliberately shorter, because they're not focusing on Miles.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Yeah. See, I think at the beginning of the game, like the first half of the game, when it really is a struggle with Miles and Peter, Miles's, experience with wanting to become, full-time Peter's experience wanting to become full-time Spider or full-time Peter rather than Spider-Man. And then also Miles with dealing with the issues with Mr. Negative. I thought that was really well balanced. But then as we developed into the story of Venom, like it's kind of like Spider-Man 2 has become a story of 3. Spider-Man Peter, Spider-Man Miles, and now Venom. And it's like, this is the point where I kind of struggled, because I'm like, everything that Genki said, I'm like, man, I want to go back and hang out at Visions and like do some more missions with Genki and everything like that, right? So it just left me wanting a little bit more, which, we still have a few more chapters.
Yeah.
But I really feel like as we continue this story, because it has to wrap up soon, like we are diving more into the Harry Peter storyline. And I'm not too sure how I feel about that yet.
I think that's why maybe a lot of people were surprised at the runtime of this game. Even though there's a lot of story, the runtime of the main story, people thought we were going to be 30, 40 plus hours. I think most AAA games right now run you around like 40 hours of main story. So this is shorter, and it does feel like a little bit rushed, because they wanted to do so much. Craven's story, I thought, honestly, they brushed aside quite a bit. I'm surprised at how it ended. Miles' story, although I thought we got some depth at the beginning, his situation with being kidnapped by Craven and then having to deal with Mr. Negative, although that story specifically for him, I still thought it was too short.
Yeah.
I didn't think the stakes were high enough. It didn't feel like the stakes were high enough. So I kind of understand what your disappointment is through this.
Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully they'll be able to redeem themselves in the end for that storyline for me. But let's talk about Harry and Peter, because there's a lot that's going on with their dynamic. Now Peter has to deal with the fact that he's pretty sure that Harry killed Craven. And he witnessed Harry completely transform the love of his life, MJ, into Scream. Do you think, like, I'm pretty sure if you ask Peter, he'll always say Harry's his friend, but I feel like deep down after witnessing all that, you definitely have a different idea of who Harry is. And to me, this is just kind of setting up for like like there's nothing being held back battle between the two of them that could end badly for either of them.
I don't think Peter's taking this personally right now, and I still don't, because I think he understands now, being in the symbiote. It's the same situation with MJ. I think MJ becoming Scream made her also realize what Peter was going through. So I now think that they're both on the same page in that case. And so I think Peter still has sympathy for Harry, and he knows that he's not doing this, and that he wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for the symbiote. It is refreshing sometimes when, if there's people pleasers or people who won't say what's on their mind, the symbiote kind of gives them that. MJ, a lot of things that maybe she wouldn't discuss, she let out. Peter, the same thing. Harry, the same thing. There's a little bit of good in that, but then they start to turn all those negative emotions into just what their personality is. And they have to find a balance. But that's why I feel like Peter is not resentful to Harry and turning him into Scream, because I think he understands the power of the symbiote controlled who he was, and it's controlling Harry to do this too.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, it's not necessarily a Harry thing, but in terms of Spider-Man now looking at potentially have to confront your best friend, and seeing how far gone is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that does change a little bit in Peter's mind how he has to handle the situation.
Does it?
I think so. I think before he was really relying on a lot of, like, I think he was very hopeful that making a plea to Harry would do good. We're even seeing how he handled the Scream fight. Like, he apologized to MJ before starting the fight because he realized he really like how bad the symbiotes are.
Mm-hmm.
They're not an easy fight for Spider-Man, so he can't hold back. I feel like when he's seeing that, like, because I think Peter, when he had the symbiote, he was strong-minded enough to not kill Craven, right? That's what, or Miles helped him not kill Craven, not go beyond that point. With Scream, MJ was so like strong-minded to knock herself out of that. To me, if I was in Peter's shoes or Peter's suit, I would be like, how do you go back from everything that's Harry's done? Even like, how do you go back from knowing you ate someone's head, like, as outside of the suit? Like, what is the way back there? Does Harry go to jail? Like, what? I can't visualize a way
Mm-hmm.
back for Harry.
Mm-hmm. I think Peter will always have hope with his friend. Even though I think he thinks he might be too far gone, I think he'll still try to say he can talk to him. I mean, look at Dr. Octavius, right? He still kind of believed in his friend until the end,
Mm-hmm.
tried to rescue him. I think that's who Peter is to his core. He'll always look for the best in someone, regardless of if they're like completely descending into madness.
Oh my goodness. Hopefully he won't descend into madness too much more, because we only have 2 more episodes left to go here of our Spider-Man series on AutoSave, our Spider-Man 2 series on AutoSave. Nick, I have no idea where this is going. Every time like you said, every time I think it's done or we're going on to like the ending, it is not.
Nope.
We're going to see how the next episode unfolds. But if you want to see what the next episode has to offer, well, all you got to do is listen in right here on AutoSave. AutoSave is produced and hosted by Nick Andrade and myself, Camille Salazar-Hadaway. The show is also produced by Dylan Wilson. Gameplay and additional elements provided by Chris Zeiser. Executive producer, Clayton Hansler. You can follow the show at AutoSave Podcast on Twitter and AutoSave Pod on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. You can subscribe to the show wherever you're listening to it right now. And if it happens to be Apple Podcasts, kindly leave us a rating and a review, but only if it's good. AutoSave is a Soda original hosted on the Soda Podcast Network.